Welcome back to the channel. This is Working Man Reads, and thank you for coming back. I appreciate y'all. I am trying out some new equipment today, so if anybody's ever done that, you'll understand that this is the most annoying thing in the world, and I filmed this 3 times. So now I'm on StreamYard because I know it's going to work, hopefully. And the whole point of getting new equipment was so that I could try to hop on some podcasts. So if you're out there and you have a podcast, I now have a microphone and a webcam, but for some reason StreamYard won't do it in 4K unless I pay for it. So eventually I will figure this out. But I read The Old Man and the Sea, and that is by Ernest Hemmingway. Most people know this novel by now, or novella. I don't know, probably a novel, right? It's like 200 pages. But I got it off of Project Gutenberg. So if you don't know, that's a website you can get stuff in the public domain or at least old stuff. And I've been really, honestly, it's beautiful because as I get old, so this is the second time I've read it. I read it when I was in high school, and I don't think I enjoyed it, but I don't think I got the point of it as much, and I probably still don't. But as an older man, I really enjoyed like that storyline of like this guy who used to be able to do something really well to the point where they're telling stories about him. But then he has to unfortunately doubt his skills because as we get older, your back starts to hurt. But then he's still pretty much accomplished, what he set out to do. But uh, it's a beautiful story about life and what life throws at you, and just trying to persevere. And who doesn't love a little wisdom? And I just know I did highlight a bunch of stuff, so that's on my Goodreads. You know, I thought it was brilliant. Next, I read Shrapnel, a poetry collection by Austin James Hatch. I did kind of dog ear a couple of these, so maybe at the end I'll read one. But just some quick hitter type poetry. So nice quick read. It's so funny because 2026 was supposed to be my year of big books, which I still am. Hold tight for that. But I thought maybe I would read like a significant amount less of books. But I ended up having a great January so far. I've read like 6 books. So um, this was one of them. I'm at like 3 stars on that one. Next, we have this one's unfortunately a little bit political due to its subject matter, being "Hold the Line" by Michael Fanone and John Schiffman. You would think I would have looked up how to say his name. It might not be Fanone, but he was a police officer for the Metropolitan um, DC Police. And the whole premise of this story is he it's basically just a biography. So you get a little bit about his story and his life and his upbringing and what led him to be in that doorway on January 6th. As we all know, um, quite a few people were injured during that um, riot or insurrection, whatever we want to. I'm a libertarian, so there's nothing that would have really led me to storm the Capitol. It's just we don't hurt people and we don't take things that aren't ours. So, long story short, though, pretty dope because the symbolism of the hold the line is actually from his commander, his battalion commander, being in there and saying, hold the line," like it's almost like a war they were in, which I think is wild. The imagery that I really just that sat with me, and he explains it early on in the book, but then they actually were able to get, I guess, a picture of it. Hopefully that shows up. But this is Officer Fanone, and then this is a thin blue line flag or Blue Lives Matter flag that he is being struck with, which I think is crazy. And even the guy who tased him, if I'm not mistaken, had either an American flag T-shirt on or a thin blue line T-shirt, and just the imagery of a lot of these people harming police officers while wearing like supportive memorabilia is hilarious to me. Um, that imagery is crazy. Um, I also I believe one of the flags I did in here was pertaining to a lot of these guys that were convicted had prior uh, criminal convictions. They were like already career criminals, and then they went there and did what they did. So yeah, I had a little thing that said had police records. The other question I had, that a couple of the senators asked him towards the end of the book when in the chapter where it's talking about hearts and minds, and he's talking to one of the politicians, and they're like, "Why didn't you use deadly force?" And I think it's a relevant question, and especially in 2026 with what else we're going on with in the news. But like, I feel like it's almost a miracle more people didn't die on January 6th because it could have been horrible. I mean, the deadly use of force is used when that force is being brought upon police officers, and quite quite a few of these cops could have died that day, especially this man who was drug into the crowd and tased on his neck, and there was people shoot him with his own gun. So I mean, he could have died, and he also could have pulled a service weapon, and he didn't. So I don't know what was going through his head. Even after reading this, it's a freaking terrifying. So that's that. We'll move on from the nonfiction. Next, I've been reading. I'm about 60 pages into "In the Miso Soup" by Rio Murakami. Good with the Japanese. I love this one. It's perfect for my disturbed for fiction type readers out there. I love the seedy underbelly look at Japanese sex work, and it's brilliantly written. It's a um, Penguin put out by Penguin, so it's nice and like fits in the palm of your hand almost, and it's perfect for. I can fit it in my pocket at work, so it's pretty cool. But in the miso soup, been digging it. Can't wait to review it for the channel. This one might get its own independent review um, because I think it's awesome. It's got like terrible reviews, so maybe the ending sucks, but or people just don't like the disturbing side. But I like that. So if you like horror or like extreme or transgressive, it's more transgressive, I would say. This is pretty dope. Like I'm loving it so far. So it's gonna be it would have to have a wicked fall from grace for me to not like it. Next, we're going to talk about a book that's near and dear to my heart because it's the oldest book that I've had in my collection. So I got this as a very small child. But to commemorate the 25th anniversary of my favorite movie franchise of all time, I am going to do a reread of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm going to lose my oldest bookmark as well. I got this when I was a kid. I think this is from 2001. It's an old bookmark, and I every time I read this, I use the same bookmark that I used as a kid. So I just love the Lord of the Rings. I have fancy, expensive. I have a book that's like 50, 70. It's $50 to $70 of this. I have a copy of Tolkien's masterpiece, but I still use this as my reading copy. Even the spine's not broken. Um, but I just love the floppy. I just love it. It's just got that color to it, like it's been around. So I know my book buddies out there understand the flow. But man, I love this story. Who doesn't love the Shire? So right now I'm in the Shire, and Bilbo's party, and I did the Concerning Hobbits, but I'm actually thinking about doing a grand reread and get into the newer stuff that Christopher Tolkien put out that I have never read. Like Baron and Lutheral. I'm probably saying that wrong. The Fall of Gondor. I'm probably saying all these wrong. Fall of Numer. You know the ones I'm talking about. Look them up. Um, I'm gonna. I actually wrote down a list of them, and I think I'm just gonna work my way through. So next will probably be the Silmarillion. Uh, Talking is hard today, but I've already read The Hobbit recently, and now I read this. So what have y'all been reading? Please let me know down below if you've finished any of these books. If for some reason you've read Hold the Line, um, man, crazy. Uh, I was at 4 stars. I don't know if it sounded like I didn't like it. I hate politics nowadays. Now that I'm getting older, I just can't stand it. And a lot of it was, but it was still like crazy to read somebody's firsthand account of what happened that day. That had to have been like a war. So it was pretty dope. Oh, I told you I would read a poem. Let's read a poem. Let's see. Oh yeah, this one's good. This one's called Breakage. Um, so it says, When a heart frays and arteries unravel, there aren't many left. Who think they love me, chase me, a safe place for crumbling, but there's no bedrock here, just the filaments of the sloppy news, like breathing underwater. Every spotlight is a battlefield, a scoundrel living amongst the leftovers. So I think that's where he got or no, the shrapnel is the name of the thing. But I also liked U-turn pins. Uh, so this says, them who know me best, all dissolved through the night, stained in my residue, like soot on skin. I'd follow their lead, but I don't know myself well enough to escape the gurney they've left behind. So I don't know what the author meant by that, but I kind of took it like I have a lot of family, like all my uncles died in their 60s and they're all like smokers and lived unhealthy lives and never read or anything like that. So I've just always tried. I've been cognizant of that, like really try to be different. Um, but I might still die young. Um, so, but I think he meant like he had a lot of trauma in his life that But that's the beauty about poetry is that sometimes the author can be trying to portray something to you, but you might take something else from it. So uh, I love that. I love it. So all right, that's enough for today. Have a good one, guys.